Welcome into Hold My Banner. Casey Hudson back alongside Ante Campbell. And we got plenty to get to, but it's exciting because we get to continue to discuss and kind of, I don't want to say manifest. It just depends on whether you're about it or not about it, but potentially manifest where some of these trade rumors can or cannot go. Right. Some statements have come out putting some things potentially to bed, but regardless, we got to dive into it, Ante, so.
Yeah, we do have to dive in it. I want to start off by saying happy birthday to Jrue Holiday.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday, Jrue.
We're not going to trade him in this episode.
Is that why he's not on our list today?
He's not on our list today of trades. And I also want to say congratulations to one of my boys who actually brought in new life earlier this week. He has a son. His name's Teo. We're excited to have him here. So shout out to my boy and his wife for bringing in new life. And we're going to bring in some new people into this Celtics arena, into Celtics Nation, into TD Garden next year. So we're going to talk about all of that.
I said manifest. I didn't specify what we were manifesting. And I'm sure you like Tay because we nickname you Tay when we're not running around calling you Ante only. But, okay, congratulations to your boy.
Yeah.
And we are keeping Jrue Holiday safe this time because we pretty much went in on it in the last episode of Hold My Banner.
Right.
We had some fans that understood where we were coming from. That other fans were like, keep Jrue Holiday out of your mouth and move on.
Yeah.
Okay, we said that's safe. But unfortunately, we've got to have a discussion on whether or not there are trade options, opportunities in progress with Jaylen Brown. Let's put it this way before we open up the trade conversation. Underwent successful meniscus surgery yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Successful surgery, plans to participate in training camp without any limitation, which is great news. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I can say this. My brother had a meniscus situation freshman year going into FSU, and it was basically like, once you get the surgery, you're going to be fine to go. They're looking at 3-6 months kind of deal. So training camp being an open opportunity for Jaylen Brown is not only positive, but realistic, one would say, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is realistic. The thing that I'm thinking about with this whole entire thing is like, okay, what does this mean for the Celtics season plans now, right? Because I think the last time we talked, I said, okay, the Celtics are probably going to tank because Jaylen Brown's probably not going to be available.
I meant to ask which team you were on that one.
We hadn't heard about, the surgery yet, so we didn't know if it was going to get done. And then, we wrapped up the episode, went to bed and woke up, and the Celtics dropped the bomb of the fact that he did have surgery and that he's recovering well and he expects to be back for 2025, 2026. Now, if I'm them, this whole entire situation scares me because with Jaylen Brown in the lineup, whatever we expect to get back for KP, whatever we expect to get back for Jrue, I'm not going to trade him. That's the last time I'm going to say anything about trading Jrue this episode.
I was like, that sounded ominous.
What we expect to get back, I see this team as a 4 or 5 seed in the East next year with JB leading them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if that's the case, are we going to be rushing Jayson Tatum back in February? Because he also looks like he's in good spirits. He's been taking pictures with Deuce and hanging out, and, they got him working out in the facility already. You know what I mean? Torrey Craig showed a video of him on day 26 of recovery, already back, you know what I mean, here in Boston working out, getting ready. So, when we get to February, when we get to March next year, are the Celtics going to be rushing Jayson Tatum back to help his team get ready for a playoff push and over the hump? That can be scary moments because we've seen players in the NBA's history come back from, Achilles injury, try to get back in the middle of a season and end up having a second injury. I won't say Achilles, but something major happened because their body's not ready to ramp up while the rest of the league is already in full swing.
Right. So unfortunately, what I'm going to say to this is yes. There's going to be the rush. There's going to be the get him back as soon as possible. And I think nowadays, and tell me if I'm being dramatic because when am I not, but nowadays I feel like athletes, when they see somebody else is capable of doing it, they think that they can do it one notch further, right? And I think Jayson Tatum knows what he means to this team. I think it's very let's just say it's nerve-wracking probably for him to be a leader on this team and think that he won't have a hand in next season. And depending on the pieces that move about off of this roster or join this roster, him being the leader, I think just adds a pressure that he's not going to be able to separate himself from. But what I don't like about it is you're talking about coming back in March, you know what I mean? And that's probably one of the most prolific parts of the season because that's when you're trying to make that final push, collect those points, get into the postseason. And that's what most fans are most concerned about. Can we just get back to the postseason? Nobody's even talking about how deep you get. It's just getting there. Yeah. And sometimes that's where this tank or not tank conversation comes about. So does that change your mind on how you want this team to move now that this could be a year that he could rush himself coming back just to make an appearance in the postseason but not make a deep run?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If I'm them, you know, as soon as we start to get to October, Jaylen Brown's having a couple extra complications. You know what I'm just saying. Here's the way I see it, and the Celtics fans are going to be mad at me because this is a proud city. It's a city of champions, as they like to call it. And, you know, winning championships is what Boston does. But if you know that Jayson Tatum isn't going to be 100% Jayson Tatum next year.
Right.
And maybe JB gets banged up because no one's talking about the fact that JB and JT have had this spree of health because they take the pressure off of each other in moments. There's times in the season where JB is like, hey, JT, I need you to lead us. There's times where JT is like, hey, JB, I need you to lead us. Now, if JB's leading the team on his own, I won't say on his own, he'll obviously have Derrick White, who we'll talk more about here in a second. Hopefully. You know, but he won't have that 1A, 1B situation that he's had over the length of his career as a Boston Celtic. So if JB is going to be banged up, you know what I'm saying, going into a playoff push 60 games into the season, and he's looking for JT to come back and be like, hey, I need you, bro. It could be a situation where both of them are not at their highest capabilities going into the playoffs, and the Celtics get bounced in the first round, bounced in the second round, and it's like, what did we do all this for?
Was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
Is it worth just making a playoff appearance, or is it more worth it to just say, hey, let's keep JT out of the mix.
Right.
Let him get fully healthy without any sort of rush.
Right.
And bring in somebody who can alleviate and be a matching piece to JB and just have as much of a successful season as possible, but not just try to make an appearance.
I say forget all of that as a whole. I say miss the playoffs.
Oh. So this goes under the tank category.
I've been there, and I'm going to stay there. I'm like I said, I'm nervous about JB coming back and the rushing of Tatum and knowing what they're going to do. But I'm in the tank category because, once again, I watched a Dallas Mavericks team that went to the NBA Finals last season.
Okay.
Trade Luka Doncic, you know what I'm saying? AD and Kyrie got hurt and whatever. They made a push for the playoffs at the end with AD coming back. They were in the 10th seed, and they had an opportunity to be in the play-in and make the playoffs. Right? And they got bounced. They didn't make the playoffs. They ended up getting eliminated, and they became what we call a lottery team, right?
Yeah.
And they got in the lottery as one of the worst odds. It was 3.4, 3.8%, whatever it was.
Winning big.
And ended up getting a generational talent in Cooper Flagg, at least the rights to draft, and we'll see what they do, right?
Right.
So if I'm the Boston Celtics, and yes, history hasn't been kind to the Boston Celtics and tanking and all this other stuff. We all remember ML Carr, 15 wins. They should have got Tim Duncan, didn't get him. It happened. But if we're talking about the league being rigged and all this other stuff that floats around in the NBA spectrum, wouldn't you think Adam Silver wants to see Jayson Tatum in the Boston Celtics and with a new owner and a new team that's going to be rejuvenated and young, and can Tatum get there and all this other stuff? All the narratives that are going to be built around that team. Wouldn't you like to see a number one pick, maybe an AJ DeBanza? I know I love throwing out that name, friend of the program, but an AJ
I see the names keep sneaking
and Boston
around.
Green, you know what I'm saying? So
okay. I am not against narratives.
Okay.
And of course, you know, it's a marketing strategy. That's how the league continues to make more money. Everybody living for the storyline. But that takes us to a more important hypothetical that we have to have here. So if you're actually sticking with tank, I'm going to go opposite of you.
Okay.
But how far would you take this tanking as to say, JB's coming back from surgery.
Yeah.
He could come back and take some time to get into a rhythm.
Right.
If he's too heavily relied on, his health can be questionable for a long season.
Right.
Do you lean into the trade opportunity and the pieces that would make it worth it just to say, we're going to tank, but we're going to bring enough pieces in here to have a fresh start?
It's funny that you bring that up because yesterday the Celtics reportedly from Shams Charania are willing to listen to trade offers for Jaylen Brown. and Derrick White, after a couple weeks ago, they were scoffed.
Locked out.
They were,
right.
oh my God, you want one of these two guys?
I think
you know
not.
what I mean?
Yeah.
They scoffed at the idea of one of those two being outside of Celtics green. So if I'm the Celtics, I don't wait that long. I don't wait that long.
Okay.
I wouldn't, if you're thinking about trading JB, and like you said, maybe he comes out and he comes out slow and he looks a little battered or something like that. All that's doing is tanking his stock as a number one guy.
So you don't want to let it get to that point.
You don't even want to let it get to that point. A lot of these people around the league have no idea what Jaylen Brown can be as a number one, because we only saw it really at one season. I wouldn't even say his rookie year. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even say we really saw it. But, now there's question marks of, could he lead a team? I remember when Steph, Clay, Draymond terrorizing the league, a lot of people would ask, is Clay good enough to be a number one?
Oh, yes.
On another team, right? Is he good enough to lead the Warriors system and collect championship rings without Steph Curry? And a lot of people were on the yes,
right,
and a lot of people were on the no, right? It's the same thing here with JB. If you ask Celtics fans, we could go around Boston right now, as we typically do, and ask fans a ton of questions.
You done it.
And you ask people, is JB a number one option? Could he lead a team to a championship on his own? Half of Boston would say, yeah, that's our guy, duh. And half of them would say, he can't dribble with his left, he can't do this, da-da-da-da-da, right? So if there's that mystery surrounding his name, that's a good thing, because some GMs are going to be the same. They're going to look at him and they're going to say, yeah, he could lead my team.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some GMs that look at him and say, nah, that's not possible, right? We didn't think Nico Harrison would think AD could lead his team to a championship over Luka Doncic, but he did. So if there are guys like that sitting in these offices making these decisions, there are other guys who would be willing to take a chance on JB. But once they see it and it's bad, they're going to be out.
Yeah, well, then at that point, that's their problem. So then say we continue to entertain this.
Yes.
There's some guys that think, okay, it's time to give him his 1A or A1 opportunity.
Right.
At what cost? Because for me, I'm thinking this goes back to somehow pulling off a top prospect or first round pick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really lean much out of a first round pick, because even within my time in Boston, when JT was either locked up or, couldn't fully show up for that game, like you said, they gave each other the nod. We did see JB be able to step up and be that number one guy. And then that respond game after JT went out. So when you're given the role with full confidence, I think we see a different player.
Right.
And so I would say that he has the capability.
I agree.
System has to be built for his success to be that guy,
100%.
which means the value should come in as a top draft pick, as well as I need a guy that can put up 24 points.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think if we're talking, we talked about this opportunity to trade Jaylen Brown for a couple of weeks now, and the Spurs opportunity came up, and I was like, okay, if we can get...
You dance with the Spurs?
if we can get a Stephon Castle, they got the number 2 pick in this draft, you know what I mean? I kind of like those opportunities, right?
Okay.
Even if you're trading in to get that number 2 pick and say, okay, we're going to trade that away for a number 1 pick next year, right?
Okay.
And now we're talking about stacking picks. They have 2 opportunities in the lottery now. If you send them off to a team that's, might miss the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? You could get something nice in return. I'm just saying. But that Spurs, when you look at a Stephon Castle, because I see him as a future perennial all-star in this league and a number 2 pick, even if it's Dylan Harper, even if it's an Ace Bailey, those are guys that could help you out in the future. Now, if you're just talking JB as a whole and we're going to get into the fantasy world, I mean, it's going to take a lot for me personally, because I don't want to see JB get traded. I've been on that fence the whole entire time. Yeah. I think JB is an amazing player. A lot of what you're saying is why I'm giving him credit. I think he is a 1A. Right. I think he showed us when he, with a torn meniscus, Game 5, back against the wall, he went out there and carried his team to a win and extended that series, and they ended up losing to the Knicks. Right. If JB could be healthy and get that opportunity to lead a team, I think he has something special left in the tank. So I'm not trading JB. So if I am, I need a Wemby, a Giannis, a Kevin. I don't even want Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant doesn't feel like he fits the timeline that I'm putting on Jayson Tatum. You know what I'm saying? So really, Yep, I mean, and then it starts to get into the ones who are really super unrealistic. I mean, like a Jokic, you know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say that's a reach.
That's a reach. A SGA, that's a reach. You know what I'm saying?
I'm reading about some packaging that could take place, so now we can kind of make this more of like a Stouty trade potentially. So say that they looped in a Sam Hauser in the mix with either trading off a JB or Derrick White, which we'll get more into here shortly. Right. But if you throw that into the mix, opening up $10 million and the potential that can be unlocked in Hauser, could we make it a more flattering package that can be brought to Boston?
I mean, yeah, it's just hard. It's who wants to give up their stars, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think we could go and talk to New Orleans and get Zion, but it's like, do we really want Zion here in Boston? Like, the way New Orleans media is tearing Zion apart, could you imagine the pressure here in Boston for him to stay under, weight, to stay away from the things that he's doing off the court and the decisions that he's making off the court? I don't think Boston media is going to be, I mean, we're not fair to them now. You know what I'm saying? Somebody was talking to me before we walked in, and they were asking, would I trade Jaylen Brown for Tyrese Haliburton? And I was like, no. And I was like, do you understand? Like, forget what I think about Tyrese Haliburton. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Will. We will.
But I'm like, Tyrese Haliburton would get destroyed by the Boston media. He's already had issues of imposter syndrome in Indiana and had to deal with that. Do you know what Boston media would do? And that's why I even get worried about going back to Jayson Tatum and his speeding up the process. I get worried about that because if he is healthy and available and it's one of those situations where the Celtics are like, we want to hold him back, you know how many people in this Boston media are gonna lose? Oh, Tatum soft. He's already got the soft calling card. Everyone's looking for reasons to call him soft and not a leader and not this and not that and not whatever. If he's 99% in February and we don't see him that whole entire season, people are gonna lose it.
Yep.
So I forgot what the point of all of this was.
The point is that you can't just bring anybody here to Boston because, for one, the mental aspect of it is going to be way different. And say that you do even bring in a Haliburton or anybody else with a notable name, that mental attack can diffuse your game. So before you know it, you trade for a star and he's not even putting up star numbers because he can't weather the storm that is the Boston media. And I totally agree. It's a different beast, and you do have to be able to manage it or compartmentalize it. And once you do that, then sure, you can find success here in Boston, but it ain't for everybody.
No.
So that takes us to another player before we move on. What would it take for you to move on from Derrick White?
Yeah, a star. I mean, I just think I need a third star because I think Derrick White has shown capabilities of being a third guy at an elite level, right? So, if I'm getting something back from anybody, it's got to be packaging, like you said. I have to package Hauser to get that to a $40 million deal, because D. White's making 30, Hauser's making 10, apron, all that other stuff. So, I would have to be getting the star. I would have to be getting a young star. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a budding one. It would have to be like no one would do this deal, but you're making me thinking about this. And I'm also in the train of not trading Derrick White, but it would have to be like a Jalen Williams from the OKC Thunder. You know what I mean? It would have to be something of that nature where I'm like, okay, we see it. It's on its way, but you're not there just yet. But we know, once again, when Tatum's fully ready to play at 26, 27, and JB is, played out his year, and we see how he is. Now we got a three-headed monster of a young star, Jayson Tatum and JB, and we're ready to keep it going. A two-way star at that, too.
See, I'm willing to depart on the basis of getting a star, yes, but I think if you bring in somebody who has enough star power or that Boston can back and have enough confidence in, that the pressure and the speeding up of the timeline of a Jayson Tatum would kind of cease to exist because there's that layer of like, oh, okay, we're going to be fine enough. The bottom line is Boston doesn't like not making the postseason.
No, they don't.
So regardless, the puzzle pieces have to line up to where we're going to a postseason. If that being said, though, I can move on past Derrick White. I'm sorry for everyone that loves him. time.
Yeah.
Some of the top teams, you named one of them, that have the most tradable assets that would make sense to where we're not wounding ourselves. We're not getting into the apron conversation. I'm not cooking that way. OKC, Houston Rockets, Utah Jazz, and San Antonio Spurs. Those are the top teams with the most trade assets that can make it make sense.
Yeah.
There's enough star power on all of those teams to where we can see a postseason, not rush Tatum, keep JB safe, but you got to say bye-bye to Derrick White.
Yeah.
And potentially Hauser.
Yeah, I like a lot of those teams, you know, what we could potentially get. Houston's the one that I want to stay away from.
You hate Houston.
I don't hate Houston. I just think that their assets just don't make sense for where the Boston Celtics are right now. That's it.
Okay, all right. So it's not Houston hate. It's just you're unbothered by Houston. Keep them out of your realm.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll continue to think on this one, but we love y'all's opinion because we know there are a number of Derrick White fans out there that do not want to move on from him. They'd rather kind of package some other deals, or at the end of the day, the biggest, loudest conversation is always going to be Porzingis. And moving on from him, packaging him with Hauser, and up to date is still the largest conversation. So we'll see. But when it comes to that star power, we do have to talk about a game.
Yeah.
And the Pacers, one person on this set was about the Pacers pulling off Game 3.
You were.
Another person was not, but we'll get to all of that Game 3 action on the other side of this quick break here on Hold My Banner. Back at it with Hold My Banner. Be hanging off the ground with my 6'7" friend Ante Campbell here. I teased it before the break. It was time for us to get into some Thunder versus Pacers, and as I so humbly reminded everybody, one of us were cheering for the Pacers to make this interesting, to keep this interesting. Another one of us just sided with the rest of the trending world here and was like, OKC is going to dominate, hoorah. 116-107, Game 3. Pacers take a series lead of 2-1. And when I tell you, I was losing my mind because I was like, wait a minute. I get to be on Hold My Banner with Ante, rub this in his face. And if I could be as obnoxious to jump out of this chair and like do a whole ridiculous thing, I would. But you know what? I couldn't potentially get back on the chair in a less embarrassing fashion. So I'm going to humbly stay put. But my friend, what did you make of Game 3?
Oh, man. I mean, here's the thing about Game 3. Congratulations to the Pacers.
Congratulations to me.
Excuse me. You know, congratulations to Casey Hudson. And congratulations to the Indiana Pacers. I mean, you guys absolutely stole that game. You took it over. You did everything that you needed to do. You ball pressure. You caused turnovers.
So many turnovers. 19 turnovers.
Right, for this Thunder team. And you just took their heart. You stayed in the game the whole entire first quarter. You looked like you were down and out. Second quarter, Ben Mathurin. I mean, if I walked away and not said his name, I'd be, stupid. He absolutely took over this game offensively. And TJ McConnell on the defensive end with 5 steals. He really took over the game, veteran presence. It was funny. I saw a tweet that was like, we got Alex Caruso at home because Alex Caruso had a big game too. And there was a picture of TJ McConnell because TJ McConnell had a big game too. But, it's funny because I was almost like, it felt like TJ McConnell Thunderstruck or Space Jam or whatever you want to.
Space Jam. I'll give it Space Jam.
Want to call to Alex Caruso because, Alex Caruso went from stud to dud real quick between Game 2 and Game 3. And I don't know if it was the flight from OKC to Indiana that got him sleepy or whatever, but I saw everyone talking about the Kobe's that he had on, and he did not come with Mamba mentality in Game 3. So I don't blame him. He's a role player. It is what it is. This is more on the fact that Shai didn't do what he needed to do, and really this was a battle of the coaches. This was a battle between Rick Carlisle and Mark Daigneault. Both two incredible coaches, but I don't think Mark D did a great job of figuring out ways to get Shai the rock.
Okay.
And when Shai is trying to get the ball and there's possession after possession after possession where he can't get it done, shout out to Andrew Nembhard and the defense that he was playing. But as a NBA Finals level coach, you should be able to get your star player the ball every single possession that you want to.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question, not that I'm trying to go against Shai here, but do you think coaching-wise, it just seemed like he was unable to weather the pressure? Because you're also talking about an uncharacteristic 6 turnovers coming off of him out of that 19. So when you see your star player giving up the ball, mind you, the 19 turnovers turned into 21 points for the Pacers.
Right.
Your star has to be your star. So if some of these turnovers are coming off of him, maybe that's where the mindset came from of like, we need to get that bench depth going.
Yeah.
We can't put everything on SGA's shoulders because game 1, clearly, if it's not all going on his shoulders, it doesn't go their way. Game 2, it's all on his shoulders, goes their way, and then flip the script for game 3. So could that be part of the coaching approach there?
100%. I mean, you can't blame Shai because he did a lot of things to keep
He's expected to do a lot.
Right, and he did do a lot, you know what I'm saying? And, but it is one of those moments where it's, hey, that travel that you got in the fourth quarter where you're picking up the ball in the middle of the key that's where you live. That's your home. You know what I mean? You got your blanket and your pillow right next to you every time you get to that free throw line, you know what I mean? Whether it be on the live dribble when we're playing or you're shooting actual free throws, you know what I'm saying? But that's your crib. And so when you get to your crib and you are getting fumbled and doing the 2T2 step or whatever you want to call it, it's a problem, you know what I'm saying? Shai definitely got washed out by that Indiana crowd. I remember when we were previewing.
And you mentioned the crowd.
Right, that these two cities have some real crowds that will really make you make some mistakes out of your character and out of body at any situation. Shai has to be better in those moments, and he has to be willing to trust his teammates. There were times where they were making great plays. Chet started off this game on a tear. I thought he was going to have 60 and 40. You know what I mean?
He was that dude for them,
He was coming off playing well, and then Jalen Williams started off a little slow and then got it going as the game continued, and he was a really great factor for OKC throughout this game, and so was Lu Dort. Lu Dort kept making 3 after 3 after 3. He started off the game 4 for 4. They were touching the top of the ceiling. I mean, they were going all the way up to the moon and dropping in. So if you have that from your teammates, there were opportunities where Shai was getting into the rim and he was holding on to the ball, like that play that I said he traveled on. Instead of making a distinct decision, he was holding the ball, trapping himself basically, and letting the Pacers' pressure really get to him.
Interesting. So I'm glad that you painted that picture, though, because you mentioned coaching at one part being maybe some of the demise of OKC falling short in game 3. But do you remember last episode of Hold My Banner where I was like, that fourth quarter, if nothing counts, I felt like the Pacers won the mental aspect of this game. And that's what I thought I saw all over again last night.
Yeah.
The composure on them, the confidence on them, the unshakability leading through all 4 quarters. It just felt like coming down through halfway through that third quarter, leading in that entire fourth quarter, they had the mental advantage.
100%. The play that marks exactly what you're talking about is the play at the end, towards the end of the fourth quarter. Pacers were up 5, I believe, and Obi Toppin comes swinging into the middle of the key, gets up and gets a tip jam on the rim, and no one boxes him out. With Alex Caruso, who, I don't want to kill the guy, but, with him standing and watching and looking up like this, trying to figure out, who's going to go get that rebound? Bro, it's you.
Right.
You're supposed to be in there.
No hesitation.
The veteran, won the championship before, boxing out, putting him into the stanchion, and making sure that your team gets the board. But instead, now your team's down 7, and there's a lot of momentum, a lot of energy going into that, and that's all it was. It was their mental fortitude over OKC's in this game, and they deserve to win it because of it.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to talk to you about something, okay? Because people are coming at me, all right? I got people texting me, DMing me, all this other stuff, and I'm tired about it, okay? I'm tired of it.
So now
This
you
is the
want
last
me to get
thing
involved.
that I'm going to say about Tyrese Haliburton and where he ranks amongst NBA players.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I got 2 players that I want to show you guys, some stats from 2 different players. One we call a playoff riser, Tyrese Haliburton, and another guy who we don't call a playoff riser. We actually say he's a choker. So let's take a look at these 2 stats.
What is this?
Yeah, so we got player 1 and player 2. So you can try to figure out which one Tyrese Haliburton is, all right? So player 1, 18.7 points per game. Player 2, 18.6. Player 1, 9.1 assists. Player 2, 9.4. Player 1, 5.4 rebounds. Player 2, 5.9. Player 1, 1.3 steals. Player 2, 1.4. Player 1, 1 block a game. Player 2, 0.8 blocks a game. Player 1, 3 turnovers. Player 2, 2.2 turnovers.
And I get to guess who
Player
Haliburton is?
1 is 14.4 field goals attempted per game throughout the playoffs this year, and player 2 is 14.6. Who do you think Tyrese is? Player 1 or player 2?
I think Haliburton is going to be player 1, and I'm only leaning towards that because of the small differential in the 9.1 to 9.4 assists. Now, Haliburton has had 6 assists in all games except for last night where he picked up a crucial 11.
Yes.
And so just trying to math, which it's not like I'm great at math, trying to math here, I'm going to lean towards Haliburton being player 1.
Okay. Can we show Casey who player 1 is? Player 1 is James Harden.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
All right, well, I said I wasn't perfect at math.
This year, and then player 2, we can show off who is the one and only Tyrese Haliburton. Now,
that dude.
The reason that I bring this up, and thank you to our beautiful director, Greg, for showing off this graphic for me. Here's the thing. This is the reason why I show off this graphic, because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And at the end of the day, everyone's telling me that James Harden ain't this and he ain't that, and his playoff run was trash, and he let his team down, and he let Kawhi down, and all this other stuff.
This is where you're going.
When we look at the stats, Tyrese Haliburton throughout this playoff run is identical. It was nitpicking which one you would rather have. You know what I'm saying? Identical. So for everyone who's saying Tyrese Haliburton's this and Tyrese Haliburton's that, fine. Whatever. You want to call Tyrese a top 10 player? Fine with me. Put James Harden in there too. That's all I got to say.
That's where you wanted all that to go.
Put James Harden in there too. That's all I want to say.
Okay. I can't really make a case against or for Harden, but what I will give you is that the differential wasn't that tremendous to where, like, right now I think most of us who are enjoying the finals are riding the Haliburton high.
Right.
So if you can ride that high right now, then you do have to give more consistent flowers to Harden. But, you know, there's some small differences. Attitude, age, timeline, you know, just a few things there. So I'm going to stick with leaning on Haliburton's side.
Okay, that's fine. Quick, before we go to break, Game 4 is tomorrow night.
Sure is.
Can I get a prediction out of you? You were right last time, so maybe y'all should listen to Casey Hudson instead of listening to me this time. But let's see what you got to say. What do you think?
What did I say on the last episode of Hold My Banner? The more games, the better. I just want more games. So with that being said, a lot of Game 3, not a lot, a good amount of Game 3, though, was OKC hurting themselves. And we know that good teams can do what? Clean up the mistakes, make the adjustments, come back, and not be their own problem. So with that being said, you had a number of guys that had a hand in OKC trying to keep it close until things got, you know, further away from them in that fourth quarter there. I think OKC ties it back up, makes it interesting. This time I want to see, like, what? 121, 118.
Okay. I think we're going to get 115, 111 Thunder in this one. A lot of the things that you said, they're going to clean up some of those mistakes that they had during the Game 3. I think that Shai is going to come out with a different mindset and a different intensity. We saw him have to do the same thing when he played against the Denver Nuggets. They were beating him up and all this other stuff. He had some issues with making decisions quickly. He cleaned it up. They ended up blowing Game 7 out because of him cleaning up those mistakes and trusting his teammates. I think we're going to see a lot of the same out of him in Game 4. So I'm going to give them some credit here and say we're going back 2-2. Now, I'm not that nervous about the series. I do want to note, though, teams that go up 2-1 in the finals win 81% of the time. So
I'm here for the storyline. I'd love to see the Pacers win. Maybe the storyline is SGA, but for me, it's seeing the Pacers pull this one all the way through. You saw more bench depth from the Pacers yesterday. You saw Haliburton realize, okay, I might not be that token scoring guy, but for him to dish out 11 assists, and then, like you said, you got TJ, you got all these other guys that kind of varied their game to make sure that they just did whatever possible to get that win. That's kind of a tough team to beat on a good night. So this series is heating up in the way that you would want to see it, but I think we're both on the same page for once.
We'll see if we're right.
Evening things up, but just give me more games. That's all I asked for. But where we may not be on the same page is for some Wicked or Kick It coming up on the other side of this break. So stay with us here on Hold My Banner. are watching Hold My Banner. Casey Hudson alongside Ante Campbell. And it is time for, obviously, one of my favorite segments. I tried to be worthy of this conversation last episode, but you couldn't see anything other than my shirt. So back at it. I came in with my cowgirl jacket, trying to match energy here. We got 3 players on deck. We're going to see if we're going to kick it or if we think it is wicked.
You got to give it a better intro than that. We playing wicked or kick it. Bow, bow, bow. Let's go.
There we go. I knew I failed that one. It's because I want to say wick it. Like, clearly, I'm working on my Bostonian verbiage here, but lead us in.
Yeah, so we got wicked or kick it. So first off, we got to shout out the guy we just talked about, Tyrese Haliburton. So he is here with the first fit. Shout out to League Fits for this photo. Casey Hudson, how do you feel about his Game 3 outfit?
I think it worked for him. I saw this and immediately thought Prince.
Okay.
And like
a little Purple Rain action.
Right, like and for the respect of the artistry.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna kick it, but I'm not like in love with it.
Okay. I mean, what don't you like about it? Talk to me.
It's the shoes.
The shoe? Oh man, we can't even see.
Is he wearing
shoes.
loafers? I thought I saw loafers along with this, and it's just like, then change the bell bottom.
You're not rocking with like the Doc Martens that he got on? That's what it looked like, Doc Martens.
If they're Docs, then I totally mess with that. If they're Docs.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not kicking it. The shades with it, the bag, the whole thing. It's Prince. It's Purple Rain. I'll give it a 8.5.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not rocking with this one just because it looks like he's trying to run for president in a terrible Disney movie.
Which president? The bedazzling on the end of the coat is just like.
Yeah, that's why I said a terrible Disney movie. It's like it's like one of those scenes where he has a daughter and his daughter bedazzles his suit right before he does the walkout, and he goes up to the stage and he's like, "I'm just gonna make it look confident because I love you, baby girl," and he's like strutting up to the stage with his bag. Yeah, no, I'm not rocking with it. So I'm gonna give this one. It's not that bad though. I like the suit, just not the bedazzles on it. I'm gonna give it like a 5.7 out of 10.
I feel like I gave it too high.
What did you say?
I'm kicking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sunglasses don't go with the bedazzling. Like, it's just, he tried too hard, but it worked for him. So.
All right. What about this guy? Not Tyrese. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Shay.
Shout out to League Fits and Care Bear for this photo. What do you think about this one, Casey Hudson?
Wicked.
Okay.
But we know why I'm saying that.
Why?
Denim tuxedo-esque.
Okay.
I'm all about a denim tuxedo in any variety, form, or fashion. What I would kick on this outfit specifically are the shoes. I hate the shoes that went with this, but yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
The sunglasses at least make sense for this outfit. The denim tuxedo has some coloring to it, so I'll rock with it a little over a 7.
Okay, a little over a 7.
A little over.
A little over a 7. Obviously, SGA is a Canadian as well. We talked about last episode with the Canadians,
right.
Lou Dort wearing the Canadian tuxedo.
Dort really crushed it.
I'm going to say this one's wicked as well, and it's funny that we're agreeing on it. I'm agreeing for a totally different reason.
Of
now,
course.
this is nostalgic. So back when I was growing up, my mom used to do these tie-dye outfits, and she tie-dyed a pair of jeans.
And you didn't give our
me.
producer a picture.
I know. I am the producer, but
we didn't give our director a picture. This is rude.
Yeah, that's another story for another time, you know. But as a little kid, I used to love those tie-dye jean outfits, and so I'm gonna give this one wicked for nostalgia purposes, and say I'm gonna give it a, you know what? Shout out to my mom, 9.9 out of 10.
9.9.
Yeah, 9.9.
Just for the familial love, okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's see how much love we've got for some Reggie Miller.
Okay.
Coming in hot here.
Yeah, he's got to fit. He's got a fit out here. You know, shout out to League Fits once again for this photo. And he's got a GOAT next to him. He's got Big O, Oscar Robinson sitting next to him. What do you think about this fit, though, Casey?
Kick it.
Oh, God.
I know that this is supposed to be just like.
Think about it for a second. Like,
I'm bored. Like, you're sitting front row. At least he's not trying to match the energy of the Uggs guy. But it's just like. It's like last minute he decided to roll into a finals game, you know? Like, you're Reggie freaking Miller. And then the thin hooded shirt underneath the jersey, and are there paint splatters on the bottom of those jeans? Like, Why? If you're going to try to be simple and understated, don't throw in some like weird, wicked jeans and then the shoes. It's a kick for me.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. Like, I flood with some of my jeans sometimes, but I'm not a multi-millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So, Reggie, I love you. I love listening to you call games. I'm glad that you're putting on for your city.
Oh my God, wait, I can't even interrupt you, but I'm going to.
Uh-oh.
And then in this picture off to the left here, for anyone who's just listening audio-wise, the jersey is tucked in and there's a yellow belt. I'm upset about that. He did the millennial tuck. Everything on the back end, out, free fall, and then you've got this small tuck in with this yellow belt. And it looks like the yellow, like, cloth belts that you used to wear in, like, the early 2000s when your parents made you put on a belt, but you really didn't want to rock with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This gets a major kick, all-cap kick.
It is funny that you say that this one gets a kick because somebody on Twitter, Master Tess, also kicked it a little bit. He said Reggie Miller ain't got a mirror in his house. That's messed up, Tess. I don't know about that one. You got to respect the legend.
Look at the tuck. This is a different shot and a different angle. I mean, legit part of the jersey is hanging down his leg while the other half is tucked in.
Yeah.
He made a last minute decision and forgot to clean up everything before he got out of the car.
Yeah.
Like, you got to either tuck it all in or don't. And I'd rather he didn't tuck it in.
All right, in all fairness, that was his era. They started that, and then the millennials stole it.
Is he trying to bring it back?
Maybe. I mean, he sees that as back in fashion. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely not.
Shout out to Reggie Miller.
Absolutely
You're the
not.
GOAT. So, shout out to you. You're the Pacers GOAT. You know what I mean? So,
That's fine. You can go to it all day, but just like dress accordingly. At least I didn't go as far to ask about the mirror, but it is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
So out of the three, even though some got kicked, your favorite's going to be Shai?
I mean, yeah, Shai, obviously, 9.9, you know. That's like the high, that's probably the highest score that I'll give it on Wicked. I don't know. I think I felt good in giving a higher score to that. But that's a great score.
It only would have been better if we would have gotten a side-by-side of you in your tie-dye era.
For another time.
I'm sure. I'm going to hold Travis accountable for making sure it just pops up on the screen while you guys are in the middle of a heated debate. So I feel bad for the fact that I kicked Haliburton, but like,
That's the best?
no.
Oh, okay. I was about to
just-
say, what are we talking about?
I just felt bad about it, but no, I got to go with SGA too.
No, I'm just playing.
The what?
I was about to say, forget Tyrese. No, but I'm just joking because people think I hate him. I don't.
I mean, I didn't say you hate him. I don't think you love the guy, that's for sure. I feel like you find your moments to just kind of like push him off to the side and tell him that he can do better. But honestly, he could have rolled in anyhow. His performance, I think, makes the outfit okay. Yeah. Did he have his new kicks on again?
Yes, last night he did.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
So superstition
I may or may not like Tyrese Haliburton, but I do love Rick Carlisle, his head coach. The Knicks are also looking for a head coach, and we'll talk more about that.
More drama. But who doesn't love to talk about the Knicks and everything they've got going on? As you tease, coming up on the other side of this quick break here on Hold My Banner. Welcome back into Hold My Banner. Casey Hudson alongside Ante Campbell, and it's time for us to try to help solve some things for the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we got a tweet on deck here. The New York Knicks have requested, hear that, permission to speak with Richmond High School head coach Carter, but were firmly denied, sources tell ESPN. Now, obviously, the humor should let y'all know that this is a joke, but that just also tells you where things lie for the New York Knicks. Now we got to go out and get fantasy people from the movie land to find hope for this New York Knicks team. And I know we got a lot of Knicks fans that like to watch Hold My Banner. So would you be calling in? What's the call that they do? Tom Brady to Rob Gronkowski?
Oh, yeah, no.
Would you be doing the call?
No.
For Coach Carter?
No, I wouldn't be doing the call for Coach Carter at all. Yeah, it's obviously being brought up because they've been calling every single NBA team and saying, hey, would you let us get your head coach? They've got denied now by Dallas with Jason Kidd, Minnesota with Chris Finch, Houston with Ime Udoka, Atlanta with Quinn Snyder, and Chicago, Billy Donovan have all denied the access to interview for the Knicks job. And they still do not have a head coach candidate up there in New York. it's getting kind of ridiculous. It's getting kind of ridiculous. I sound like Boogie Cousins, but it is getting kind of ridiculous that they think that, oh, we're New York, or we're just going to walk in and take your coach.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I'm glad that you said that, because when you're like the names that you first said at the top of this list, I'm thinking to myself, the audacity. Like, okay, yes, we give the Mavericks a hard time because of like what the front office did.
Right.
But that's the front office. At the end of the day, there was a fan base here outside of what they felt for the trade situation that still had hope in Dallas.
Right.
And you don't go there as a head coach, try to build something special, see what the Knicks tried to do and weren't able to accomplish, and then all of a sudden think you're just going to come snatch up Jason Kidd. That's a no. Right. Houston, I was on the fence about them potentially making it flattering. I get that, but like it depends on what this offseason looks like, and like maybe they were thinking to themselves, the Knicks just need that one extra step, and maybe I can slot in and do that.
Right.
I didn't find that as disrespectful. Minnesota. You're rude. You're so rude. Yeah. Minnesota does not want to go to the Knicks. No, Chris is fine. He's going to stay chill on all levels, temperature outside, and what he's trying to produce on the court with his Timberwolves team. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
They were close but no cigar yet again. Their offense couldn't match their defense. They're not that far off. They're not going to a New York market to do what? Have a headache?
Right.
Absolutely not. After that, I don't feel as passionate, though. I'm not going to lie.
That's fair. That's fair. Quinn Snyder has had some up and down years, but he's also took his team to a Eastern Conference Finals. He is known as one of the smarter offensive minds as far as NBA head coaches
And to
go.
do it on the East Coast,
right.
Eastern Conference.
So I can understand, you not being as mad about that. I don't even know why they called Billy Donovan. What has Billy Donovan done? You know what I mean? It is funny, though, because bringing it back to Boston, because we're always going to bring it back to Boston.
Bring it back.
Green Runs Deep tweeted out at Shams Charania, Knicks getting denied by everyone is comedy. Exactly. So us here in Boston, like we were doing ourselves, are just sitting here dying laughing at the fact that the Knicks fired their head coach after taking them to an Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years.
Right.
And then now think that they can waltz in and get anybody's coach and figuring out, hey, nobody likes you, you can't, you stink.
And then on top of that, let's just talk about the fact that job security for coaches has been dwindling down over the last decade.
Yes.
You see a coach take them to the, as you just said, first time in forever. It's like New York with instant gratification is... They're Gen Z so hard up there. So no offense to anyone else in the Gen Z market, but come on now. A coach doesn't feel safe coming there, and if they don't produce tomorrow or yesterday, they just uprooted their entire lives to try to make a run with the Knicks to know that they are going to be pivoting out of the door as quickly as they came in. I wouldn't move cross country for that.
Right. All right, so if you can give them quick 10-second advice for what they should do to get their next head coach, what would you say?
Oh, you gave me 10 seconds?
Yeah. That's it. I know. That's tough.
Yikes, I have no advice because
good luck, huh?
It's not exactly. It is good luck. You have to be realistic.
Yes.
And like everybody knows, I primarily have a hockey background, but the realistic approach to any of these team structures and identities, it tends to go out the window sometimes because of the framework that is we are New York.
Yes.
That's fantastic. You can be a dynasty team. You can be, one of the top of the top. You can be one of the most historic teams out there, but you've got to get with the times in terms of making it an attractive destination, showing these players and these coaches that you give a crap about them, because right now coaches and players have a louder voice than they did a decade ago. So this revolving door, this come in and do it now and bleed Knicks and bleed New York, you got to stop that. You got to chill it out a little bit, and you got to make it matter more beyond the historics. Yeah, I would love to see them take sort of a Lakers approach. They need to come in and get a younger candidate, somebody who is fun. Like, you know what I mean, like a JJ Redick, or when they were looking at a Dan Hurley, you know what I mean, someone who can be fun but can also hold their players accountable. Yeah. That was the two things that I kept reading about this Knicks situation and why it devolved into what it is and why Tibbs is on the way out, is that the players were upset because, you know what I mean, of the Tibbs way, and also because he wouldn't hold some of his superstars accountable. They need to find a coach who can do both. Who that is, that's up to them. Oh, okay, that was about to be my next question. Is there a coach that comes to mind? Who that is, that's up to them. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about before we get out of here really quickly is Kevin Durant. KD. His trade packages are heating up here. The Rockets, the Spurs, Timberwolves, the Knicks, and all have in the Heat all have trade interest in KD. Where do you think KD is going to play Where to see KD, where to see KD. I wouldn't hate the idea of the Spurs or the Timberwolves.
Okay.
I say the Spurs because of the amount of young talent that they have and the vocality, the leadership, and just the understanding of the game to another level that one could have, rubbing shoulders with a KD regardless.
Yeah.
So that would be the appeal to the Spurs, and the expectation of this upcoming season I feel like has leveled up.
Right.
Timberwolves though,
Yeah.
constantly getting to the cusp,
Yeah.
constantly getting right there on the brink of finally getting that success and then kind of falling short. And I mean, they've got some key veterans on there. We talked about who Mike Conley the other day, so it's not like they particularly want to age up, but could he move the needle for them? Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've seen the success that he has had, but it just kind of goes back to his leadership vocality and what that can do for a specific locker room. So those are the two teams that I'd look at.
Right, and I agree with you. So I'm going to talk about why I don't think the other three teams are a great fit.
Let us hear it.
With the Houston Rockets, I think they're trying to figure out who the guy is, right? KD is going to come into a situation there where young guys are still trying to prove, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. We don't need any of that. We saw it here in Boston.
Right.
You know what I mean? With JT and JB trying to prove that they were the man, and Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, and that didn't work. You know what I mean? Well, so I don't want KD in that situation. If I'm him, I'm not going to the Miami Heat because they seem like a team that's falling.
Right. There's too much going on over there.
Right.
What they're trying to make of themselves, who knows?
Yeah, who knows what Tyler Hero is as an asset? Who knows what Bam Adebayo is? I think we've been talking about potential for him for years, and I don't think he's ever offensively reached the potential that we thought he was going to reach, so I'm out on that. And then with the Knicks, we don't even know who the head coach is. We don't know if this trade would involve Cat, would it would involve a Jaylen Brunson, probably not a Jaylen Brunson, but what is that dynamic going to look like? What is their team going to look like? Do they have the depth to help Kevin Durant get there? What is that coach's identity going to do to his ability to play multiple games throughout the season? Is he going to be asked to play hard and dive on the floor and do all of that other stuff?
Right.
We don't know. That was the Tips identity. What is this new head coach identity? We have no idea. So I'm out on those three, and I'm with you. Spurs, T-Wolves would make the most sense, and I think there's mutual interest between him and San Antonio.
Ooh, yeah, it's perfectly put actually, because you're talking about plugging him into somewhere that there is already structure.
Right.
So there's no meaning behind movement if a guy is not going to move the needle, and you put it perfectly with those other teams.
Right.
If you don't have identity, if you don't have culture, if you don't know where you're going, it's almost disrespectful to KD, honestly.
Right.
I wouldn't want to put him in that mess. So for the most part, here on Hold My Banner, Ante and I have agreed on most things, but as always, we love to hear from you, Boston. Let us know what trade packages would be appealing. I know we have Derrick White fans, so we were not trying to offend anybody, but we got to talk about all possibilities and all potentials, but more importantly, we'll see what goes down for Game 4. Can the Pacers continue to make this interesting, or will OKC let them know that they want to run away with this one? Make sure you catch Hold My Banner Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 to 2 p.m. I will be crashing the set here and there, but till next time, everyone, thank you for joining us here on Hold My Banner.
See.